Hey, welcome back. We're reading The Witcher, or The Last Wish, starting on page 200. If you saw it on Netflix, there it is, up there, right there. There it is, Netflix. Then you'll enjoy The Last Wish. Sheridan, he said with an effort, still fighting the magical paralysis. Sheridan will realize that you're up to something. He'll soon work it out. Suspect something any minute now because he doesn't trust you. Yennefer, he hasn't trusted you from the start. The sorceress swept her hand in a broad gesture. The walls of the chamber became blurred and took on a uniform dull gray appearance and color. The door disappeared. The windows disappeared. Even the dusty curtains and the pictures on the wall splattered with flies vanished. What if Sheridan does figure it out? She grimaced maliciously. Is he going to run for help? Nobody will get through my barrier, but Sheridan's not going to run anywhere. He won't do anything against me. Anything. He's under my spell. No, it's not a question of black sorcery. I didn't do anything in that way. It's a simple question of body chemistry. He's fallen in love with me. The blockhead. Didn't you know? Can you imagine? He even intended to challenge Bo to a duel, a jealous elf. That rarely happens, Gerald. It's not for nothing that I chose this house. Bo Baron Sheridan, Edril Dandelion, you really are heading for your goal as straight as you can. But me, Yennefer, you're not going to use me. Oh, I am. The sorceress got up from the bed and approached him, carefully avoiding the signs and the symbols marked out on the floor. After all, I did say that you owe me something for curing the poet. It's a matter of trifle, a small favor. And after that I've done what I intend to do here in a moment. I'm leaving Rind, and I'm still got unpaid accounts in this town. I've promised several people here something, and I always keep my promises. Since I won't have time to do so myself, you'll keep those promises for me. He wrestled with all his might. In vain. Don't struggle, my little witcher. She smiled spitefully. It's pointless. You've got a strong will and quite a bit of resistance to magic, but you can't contend with me and my spell, and don't act out a farce for me. Don't try to charm me with your hard and insolent masculinity. You are the only one to think you're insolent and hard. You'd do anything for me in order to save your friend, even without spells at that. You'd pay any price. You'd lick my boots and maybe something else too, if I unexpectedly wished to amuse myself. He remained silent. Yennefer was standing in front of him, smiling and fiddling with the obsidian stars sparkling with diamonds pinned to her velvet ribbon. I already knew what you were like, she continued, after exchanging a few words with you in Bo's bedroom, and knew what form of payment I'd demand from you. My accounts in Rind could be settled by anyone, including Sheridan, but you're the one who's going to do it because you have to pay me. For your insolence, for the cold way you look at me, for the eyes which fish for every detail, for your stony face and sarcastic tone of voice, for thinking that you could stand face to face with Yennefer of Vergerberg and believe her to be full of self-admiration and arrogance. a calculating witch, while staring at her soapy tits. Pay up, Gerald of Rivia. She grabbed his hair with both hands and kissed him violently on the lips, sinking her teeth into them like a vampire. The medallion on his neck quivered, and it felt to Gerald as if the chain was shrinking and strangling him. Something blazed in his head, while a terrible humming filled his ears. He stopped, seeing the sorceress's violet eyes, and fell into darkness. He was kneeling. Yennefer was talking to him in a gentle, soft voice. You will remember. Yes, my lady. It was my own voice. So go and carry out my instructions. It was his own. At your command, my lady. You may kiss my hand. Thank you, my lady. He felt himself approach her on his knees. 10,000 bees buzzed in his head. Her hand smelt of lilac and gooseberries. Lilac and gooseberries. Lilac and gooseberries. A flash darkness. A balustrade stairs. Sheridan's face. Gerald, what's the matter with you? Gerald, where are you going? I have to. His own voice. I have to go. Oh, gods. Look at his eyes. Vranimir's face contorted with horror. Erdal's face and Sheridan's face. No, Erdal, don't touch him. Don't try to stop him. Out of his way. Get out of his way. The scent of lilac and gooseberries. Lilac and gooseberries. A door. Explosion of sunlight. It's hot. Humid. The scent of lilac and gooseberries. There's going to be a storm, he thought. And that was his last thought. Darkness. The scent. The scent. No smell. A stench of urine, rotten straw, and wet rags. The stink of smoldering torch stuck into an iron grip set in a wall of uneven stone blocks. A shadow thrown by the light of the torch. A shadow on the dirt floor. The shadow of the grill. The Witcher cursed. At last he felt someone lift him up. Rest his back against the damp wall. I was beginning to worry you didn't regain consciousness for so long. Sheridan? Where? Damn it. My head's splitting. Where are we? Where do you think? Gerald wiped his face and looked around. 3 rogues were sitting by the opposite wall. He couldn't see them clearly. They were sitting as far from the torch light as possible, in near complete darkness. Something which looked like a heap of rags crouched under the grill which separated them from the lit corridor. It was, in fact, a thin old man with a nose like a stork's beak. Oop! Book promotion time! Welcome! If you like YA horror and Goosebumps, Fear Street, Are You Afraid of the Dark, The Lost Boys, then check out my vampire horror book, Vampire Juice. Link is in the bio. Now let's continue. The Witcher cursed. At last he felt someone lift him up, rest his back against the damp wall. I was beginning... Oh, we already did that. Gerald wiped his face and looked around. 3 rogues were sitting by the opposite wall. He could see them clearly. They were sitting as far from the torchlight as possible, in near complete darkness. Something which looked like a heap of rags crouched under the grill which separated them from the lit corridor. It was, in fact, a thin old man, with a nose like a stork's beak. The length of his mad stringy hair and the state of his clothes showed that he hadn't arrived yesterday. "They've thrown us in the dungeon," he said gloomily. "I'm glad you've regained your ability to draw logical conclusions," said the elf. "Bloody hell. And Dandelion, how long have we been here? How much time has gone by since? I don't know. I was unconscious, just like you. When I was thrown in here, Sheridan raked up the straw to sit more comfortably. Is it important? How, damn it? Yennefer and Dandelion. Dandelion's there with her, and she's planning. Hey, you, how long have you been in here?" The other prisoners whispered among themselves. None replied. "Have you gone deaf?" Gerald spat, still unable to get rid of the metallic taste in his mouth. "I'm asking you, what time of day is it? Or night? Surely you know what time they feed you." They muttered again, cleared their throats. "Sirs," said one of them at last, "leave us in peace. Don't talk to us. We be decent thieves, not some politicals. We didn't try to attack the authorities. We was only stealing." "That be it," said another. "You've your corner, we've ours, and let each other look after his own." Sheridan snorted. The Witcher spat. "That's the way it goes," mumbled the hairy old man with a long nose. "Everyone in the clink guards his own corner and holds his own." "And you, old man," asked the elf sneeringly, "are you with them or with us? With a camp? Which camp do you count yourself in?" "None," he answered proudly, "because I'm innocent." Gerald spat again. "Sheridan," he asked, rubbing his temple, this attempt on the authorities, is it true?" "Absolutely. You don't remember?" "I walked out into the street. People were looking at me. Then there was a shop. A pawnbroker's." The elf lowered his voice. "You went into the pawnbroker's? As soon as you walked in, you punched the owner in the teeth. Hard. Very hard." The Witcher ground his teeth and cursed. The pawnbroker fell. Sheridan continued quietly, "And you kicked him several times in delicate places. The assistant ran to help his master, and you threw him out the window, into the street." "I fear," muttered Gerald, "that wasn't the end of it. Your fears are well founded. You left the pawnbrokers and marched down the center of the street, jostling passers-by and shouting some nonsense about a lady's honor. There was quite a crowd following you, Erdo Vanmer and among them. Then you stopped in front of Lero Noose, the apothecary's house, and went in and were back in the street a moment later, dragging the Lero Noose by the leg, and you made something of a speech to the crowd. You put it simply. You say that self-respecting man shouldn't ever call a professional harlot a whore because it's base and repugnant. While using the word whore to describe a woman one has never knocked off or paid any money for doing so is childish and punishable. The punishment, you announce, would be dealt there and then, and it would be fitting for a spoilt child. You thrust the apothecary's head between his knees and pulled down his pants and thrashed his arse with a belt. Go on, Sheridan, go on. Don't spare me. You beat Laeronius on the backside, and the apothecary howled and sobbed and called to gods and men alike for help, begged for mercy. He even promised to be better in the future, but you clearly didn't believe him. Then several armed bandits, who in Rhine go by the name of guards, came running up. Oh my gosh. This guy has a sense of humor. And Gerald nodded. That's when I made a hit at the authorities. Not at all. You made a hit at them much earlier. Both the pawnbroker and the loan news are on the town council. Both had called for Yennefer to be thrown out of town. Not only did they vote for it at the council, but they badmouthed her in taverns and spread vulgar gossip. I guess that. Carry on. You stopped when the guards appeared. They threw me in here. They wanted to? Oh, Gerald, what a sight it was. What did you do to them? It's hard to describe. They had swords, whips, clubs, hatchets, and you only had an ash cane with a pommel, which you snatched from some dandy. And when they were all lying on the ground, you walked on. Most of us knew where you were going. I'd be happy to know, too. Sorry. You were going to the temple. Because the priest kept, who's also a member of the council, dedicated a lot of time to Yennefer in his sermons. You promised him a lesson in respect for the fair sex. When you spoke of him, you omitted his title and threw in other descriptions, to the delight of the children trailing after you. Aha! Muttered Gerald. So blasphemy came into it, too. What else? Discretion of the temple? No. You didn't manage to get in there. An entire unit of municipal guards armed. It seemed to me, with absolute everything that they could lay their hands on in the army apart from the catapult was waiting in front of the temple. As it looked as if they were going to slaughter you, but you didn't reach them. You suddenly grasped your head with both hands and fainted. You don't have to finish. So, Sheridan, how were you in prison? Several guards ran to attack you when you fell. I got into a dispute with them. I got a blow over the head with a mace and came to here, in this hole. No doubt they'll accuse me of taking part in the anti-human conspiracy. Since we're talking about accusations, the Witcher ground his teeth again. What's in store for us, do you think? If Neville, the mayor, gets back from the capital on time, muttered Sheridan, who knows? He's a friend. But if he doesn't, then sentence will be passed by the councillors, including Laurel Nose and the pawnbroker, of course, and that means... The elf made a brief gesture across his neck. Despite the darkness, the gesture left little doubt as to Sheridan's meaning. The Witcher didn't reply. The thieves mumbled to each other, and the tiny old... Oh, well, I have to go. Thanks for watching.